the second part. Ang second part kasi, yun nga, previous week is na-discuss natin yung iba't ibang parts niya, iba't ibang parts. And ngayon, we will talk about it in detail. Okay? In detail natin siya pag-uusapan. So, last week, I told you na parang may rotonda lang, di ba? Yung citric acid cycle natin. But ngayon, it's not just about a roundabout, hindi na ganoon. You will see the different pathway, talaga, the different roadmaps of our metabolism. So this is more complicated, no, than our topic last week. Ay, mag-attendance ako ulit later, no, sa mga nalitang pasok. So, our unit experiment outcome is still the same with what we discussed last week. But we're also going to describe the citric acid cycle in more details. Sabi ko nga, previously, we discussed that it is like a roundabout. But today, you will see that there are different streets, different roads for you to come up with the citric acid cycle. It's not just the three stages that we've seen last week. So mas komplikado to. And of course, we're also going to detail we're also going to give details on how the electron transport chain occurs. Okay? So, but before we start, wag kayong magsusulat, no? Don't write in papers o wag nyo rin pipicturean itong PowerPoint na to kasi this is not connected with our topic for today. Pero I will give you 30 seconds to memorize. Okay, please try. No, try. Try to memorize these numbers within 30 seconds. Timer starts na. Okay. Hanggang 58 lang daw ang naalala. Ayan, tapos na yung 30 seconds. Sige, try nyo nga isulat. Try nyo nga i-type kung hanggang saan ang naalala ninyo. As I've mentioned, ay hanggang 5 lang ang naalala. Okay, 5-8 and 580. Normally, ganyan naman, di ba? Marirecall natin. Hindi natin matatapos, no, normally, ang pagka-recall natin dyan. Ayan, 580 true 1, 31, 3147. Tigbalikan nga natin kung tama yung mga naalala nyo. Kung tama ba yung mga naalala? Ayan. So, might be yung iba naalala ng mabuti, di ba? Might be yung iba ay namali, ng tanda, di ba? Pwede. Yung iba, yan, medyo indulo, nakalimutan na, yung umpisa lang yung natandaan. So, depende, di ba? Depende sa tao. No? So, ganyan nangyayari minsan, di ba? Kapag tayo ay nagme-memorize. Yan. Pero try nga natin ulit. Meron akong isang number pa dito. So, ang ginawa ko, binreakdown ko siya. Binreakdown ko into, di ba? Into 4 yan. Naka-4 na breakdown. So, try nyo nga ulit i-memorize yan. Tapos, i-memorize nyo siya by part. Okay, sige. Try nyo nga kung mas natandaan ba ninyo. Tingnan nga natin. 2, 6, 9, 8, 4. Okay. O kung ano man yung natandaan ninyo, no? Sige, kahit na hindi nyo type naman, no? Ayan. Nawala agad sa isip ko. Pero generally speaking, no? Dito, kapag iba by part mo ang pagkakabisa, mas marami kang marirecall. Di ba? If hindi mo ibobombard yung sarili mo, if you were not going to bombard yourself with too much information, the tendency is you will remember it more, no, than bombarding it with too much information. So, bakit ko sinasabi yan, di ba? Why I am telling you that? And as I mentioned earlier, it is not connected with our topic for today. But I am telling you this because our topic needs you to memorize a lot of things. A lot of reactions. Lalo na like na next week, daming reactions ninyong aaralin. And I want you to guide, no, kung paano nyo siya aaralin, on how you will study for the examination. So, do not bombard yourself with too much informations. You can, no, you can separate it, different information, like what we did in our whiteboard last time, di ba? Ang ginawa natin is gumawa ako ng table, for example, para mas binay part by part ko. So, mas mabilis yung recall kapag ganun kasi. Mas natatandaan natin. No? So, this is a guide on how you will memorize things. Okay? It's easier to memorize, no? Kung iba-by part natin yan. For example, you're going to memorize a phone number, di ba? Ang unang tatandaan is yung first four. Diba? 0916. Then, tatandaan mo yung apat, tandaan mo yung dulo. Okay? So, ganyan yung magiging atake, no? Kung kaya nyo naman i-bombard yourself with too much information, that's fine. Okay? It's good. Pero I am telling you, for a long-term memory, to function well, mas maganda yung iba-by part na siya. Okay? So, I hope, no, ay mag-guide kayo on that, no, on the reviews na gagawin ninyo kasi nearing na. Diba? Nearing na yung ating midterm exam. Okay, so let's proceed with our topic for today. So last time we discussed about the catabolic pathway, correct? And wait lang. Mag-attendance ulit ako later, no? Yung nag-chat sa akin. Okay, so last week we discussed the common catabolic pathway and we define it with 3 stages, di ba? 3 stages yun. The first stage is digestion. Second stage is acetyl group formation. And our third stage is what? Last week, hindi ngayon. Last week, what is the third stage? Nakalimutan na ang third stage natin last week. What is stage 3? Limutan na. Nag-lecture pa kayo. What is stage 3? Stage 3 is the common catabolic pathway, di ba? Yung stage 3. Ayun, correct, Jim Rad. So, the common catabolic pathway. No, yan yung ating, baka makalimutan ko si Jim Rad. Dash 6. Ang dami na. Ayun. Okay, so common, di ba? Common catabolic pathway. So, why common? Because it's common. It's common for different biomolecules to undergo that pathway, the stage 3. But right now, we're going to divide. Okay? We're going to divide those pathway. So, in common catabolic pathway, there is 2 or really is 3. But we divide it into 2. The stage 3 is the citric acid cycle, which is the roundabout or yung rotonda natin na diniscuss last week. Then in stage 4, the electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation. If you can still remember it, the common catabolic pathway have several steps, right? Yung previous nating topic. Diba? Meron tayong mga different doon na pinagdaanan. If you still remembers it. And during the citric acid cycle is meron kang dalawang exit, correct? Sabi ko, there's 2 exit for the citric acid cycle. What is the first exit? Kalimutan na rin. What is the first exit in the citric acid cycle? Correct, Nishin? Yan. Carbon dioxide, no? Carbon dioxide is the first exit for the citric acid cycle. What is the second exit? Yung nandun sa baba. Ayun, correct, Sashli? Ang correct, Sashli? H, diba? Hydrogen ions and electrons. Ayan, correct, Jeka. Okay, so we have two, diba? We have two exit for our citric acid cycle. The carbon dioxide and H++ electron. Correct? And now, I will show you, no? I will show you, saan ba nanggaling yun? Where did it came from? Oo, hindi lang yun basta dumaan sa rotonda, may nilabasan. In reality, as I mentioned earlier, inside the citric acid cycle, there are certain streets pa na pagdadaanan. Actually, 8. No? 8 streets. And now, I will discuss to you where did carbon dioxide came from, where did hydrogen ions came from. Okay? So, i-detail natin yan. So, the steps in the citric acid cycle, the steps in acetyl group formation, it involves numerous reactions. Ibig sabihin, sequence of reactions. Hindi ba last week, very ano lang yung ginawa natin. Simple pa yun. No? From glucose, naging monosaccharides, then monosaccharides, naging acetyl-CoA. It's very simple. Meron pang pinagdaanan na process. There are different steps on that, and there are many reactions on that. So doon, dyan iikot. Okay? Yung topics natin for today. But let's talk about first, no, just a recap on the first stage or the stage for digestion. Actually, we have already discussed this in our laboratory and in our lecture. Correct? So, the digestion, where does it start? Starts in our mouth. Diba? Kailangan muna nating ibuka ang ating bibig, syempre, ngumuya. No? So, that is the mechanical part of digestion. But as we eat, as we chew our food, nag-release ng enzyme yung ating salivary glands. So there are enzymes in our salivary glands. There are enzymes produced by the bacteria in the mouth, okay, to break down starch. After that, it will continue in the stomach. So what acid is present in the stomach? If naalala pa. What acid is present in the stomach? Acid. What acid? Ayun, correct ulit, Jim Red. So that is hydrochloric acid. Okay? May hydrochloric acid sa tiyan. But please, okay? Please don't drink hydrochloric acid. Iba, the concentrations are different with the hydrochloric acid inside your stomach with the hydrochloric acid that you can buy at stores, no? For example, muriatic acid. Different yan. So don't try that. Okay? But our stomach contains hydrochloric acid, and also some enzymes will be introduced in our stomach. For example, our pancreas will pump pancreatine. No, there's also trypsin, chymotrypsin, pepsin, etc. Okay? That can aid in our digestion. After that, during digestion, it will also pass through in our small intestine. Diba? It will pass through our small intestine where bile and some lipase, no, from our liver will digest the lipids or the fats in our body. So my question, I have one question, no, for all of you. May I ask tong bagay na to? And I think na-discuss naman siguro sa inyo to in your previous subjects, sa physiology, and might be in your major subjects in nursing. Baka na-discuss na rin sa inyo 'to. So, in what part does nutrients are absorbed? Yeah, in what part of our body most nutrients are absorbed? Sige nga. In what part? In what organ? Ayan. So, ayan, different answers. Ayun. So, small intestine, ha? So, most of our nutrients are absorbed in the small intestine. Okay? Sa small intestine yan. So, di ba, kung papansin niyo diyan na-breakdown na sa mouth, karamihan ng ating carbohydrates. Diba? After that, na-breakdown yung sa stomach, most of the proteins. Then, yung lipids, saan siya na-breakdown? In the small intestine, mostly. So, ibig sabihin, pagdating sa small intestine, almost all of the food we eat is already converted in its simpler form. Okay? So, ano mangyayari? Those small molecules will cross yung membranes of our small intestine through the membrane to the blood. Okay? Then, the blood will deliver it dun sa mga cells na kailangan pa siyang i-further convert. Okay? So, the end products of digestion, na-discuss natin yan last week. Ginawan pa natin ang table, di ba? The end product is, halimbawa, for carbohydrates, monosaccharides, di ba? For proteins, final product is amino acid. For fats and oils, nagiging fatty acids yan and glycerol. Okay? So, yung organ na magi-start yung natin, yung absorption of our nutrients is from the intestine, from a small intestine. Then, after that, it will be transferred to the blood to be transported to our cells where it is needed. Okay? I hope that's clear. The second step is the acetyl group formation or the second stage. Di ba dito yung magiging acetyl, correct? Magiging acetyl yung ating mga molecules from stage 1, magiging acetyl that will combine with coenzyme A. Okay? Again, this involves numerous reactions. Mamaya ipapakita ko sa inyo yung numerous reactions na sinasabi dyan. But this acetyl group formation occurs in what parts of our cells? It occurs in cytosol and mitochondria. So parehas, parehas dyan. So cytosol and mitochondria sa cells natin. Doon nagaganap yung acetyl group formation. So for glucose or carbohydrate metabolism, it occurs at cytosol. For fatty acid metabolism, it occurs at mitochondria. Alin? Yung acetyl-CoA formation. Okay? Yung acetyl-CoA formation natin or acetyl group formation natin. Ulitin ko. For carbohydrate, it occurs in cytosol. And for fatty acid, it occurs in mitochondria. But both of acetyl group formation occurs in cytosol and mitochondria. So, hindi lang yan ganun kasimple na from monosaccharide, magiging acetyl-CoA na siya. Hindi rin from amino acid, magiging acetyl-CoA kaagad. Hindi from fatty acids, magiging acetyl-CoA kaagad. There are certain reactions involved in this to form the acetyl group or acetyl-CoA. So mamaya makikita niyo yan, no? Then, the third stage, okay, na binreakdown natin yung catabolic pathway into 2. Citric acid cycle is the stage 3. And for stage 4 is electron transport chain and what is the other one? Oxidative phosphorylation. Mamaya, detail din natin yan. So, unahin muna natin to, si citric acid cycle. So, why, di ba? Bakit ba? Bakit ba tawag yan, citric acid cycle? No? Ano ba? Bakit ba yan? It's because of the citrate actually. Ito. Citrate. What is citrate? Citrate is the first, no? Yung acetyl-CoA, the acetyl-CoA will be converted into citrate first. Okay, that is the first step in this cycle, the citric acid cycle. So magiging citrate siya. And this citrate when it reacts with with enough water and enough hydrogen, it will create citric acid. Okay? So ito yung citric acid. Citric acid is also present in citrus fruits. Yung mga citrus fruits natin, lemon, calamansi, pomelo, ano pa ba? Ayan, dalanghita, oranges, no, meron ng citric acid din. Okay? So the citric acid cycle is also called as tricarboxylic acid cycle or TCA cycle. Bakit? Kasi citric acid is actually a tricarboxylic acid. Anong ibig kong sabihin doon? So from the word tri again. Tri means 3, di ba? So asan yung tricarboxylic natin? Ayun, no? 1, 2, 3. Okay? Kaya citric acid is also called a tricarboxylic acid. In return, it is also called as TCA cycle. Okay? So, may isa pang tawag sa kanya. Isa pang tawag sa kanya is Krebs cycle. And baka mas familiar kayo dito sa term na to. The Krebs cycle. Because in senior high school, during the subject life science, I think, and general bio, Krebs cycles is being discussed. And Krebs cycle is the proponent. He concluded that this is what happens to our acetyl-CoA to produce the needed materials for ATP. Okay? Yan si Hans A. Krebs. Okay, kaya naging Krebs cycle. But we use more the TCA cycle. Okay? Ngayon, mas gagamitin natin yung term na TCA cycle. Okay? So, in stage 3, how does it start? It needs fuel, di ba? It needs fuel. And ang fuel in citric acid cycle is the acetyl-CoA. Okay? Acetyl-CoA is the fuel for the citric acid cycle. So, kumbaga sa sasakyan, yung gasolina ng ating citric acid cycle is the acetyl-CoA. And in in TCA cycle or citric acid cycle, there is also the second exit is hydrogen, correct? The hydrogen and electron. So mamaya ipapakita ko sa inyo yan kung saan nanggaling yung hydrogen and electron na yan. Makikita nyo yan later. Pero meron niyang katulong. Merong katulong si citric acid cycle or si TCA cycle. Okay? So ano yun? Makakatulong na dyan sin NAD+, and FAD. Okay? NAD plus saka FAD. Ano nangyayari sa kanila? Nako-convert sila into NADH and FADH2. So during the TCA cycle, NAD plus and FAD is reduced. Okay? Reduced. So sila ay nagiging reduced coenzymes, nagiging NADH and FADH2. Okay? So this H+, yung mga H+ na yan, and yung oxygen, if you can still recall on our topic last week, needed yan para makapag-create ka ng ATP. Okay? So, mahalaga mahalaga yung mga portions na yan. Mahalaga yung citric acid cycle or the TCA cycle because its products are being used to produce ATP. So, mamaya i-detail natin yan. Okay? Kung paano na po produce yung ATP. Okay? So, in citric acid cycle, the different biomolecules are converted or they are converted into another product. No? Ay nakalagay diyan is as a source of intermediates. 'Di ba? Yung mga 'yan, yung intermediates is yung mga acetyl natin. 'Yan yung sources natin eh, yung mga carbohydrates, protein and fats. 'Di ba? Yun yung source natin. And during the citric acid cycle, it is converted to a certain compounds to be used, of course, for the production of ATP. And where does citric acid cycle occurs? Na-discuss natin yan last week. It occurs at the matrix, diba? At the matrix of the mitochondria. Asan yung matrix? Itong medyo gitna na portion of our membrane. So, ito na ang complicated process of citric acid cycle. Diba? Oh, very complicated, no? Hindi na lang siya bilog. As I mentioned, hindi na lang siya basta roundabout. Diba? Hindi na lang siya hindi na lang siya rotonda because it contains different steps. Kumbaga ay may traffic ka pa na pagdadaanan. Diba? May steps ka pa na pagdadaanan. And the citric acid cycle or the TCA cycle contains 8 reactions or 8 steps. Okay? 8 reactions yan. 8. So, hindi na lang basta bilog yung ating reaction. Kasi 8 na. No, yung pinag-uusapan natin dito. Diba? Okay? So, proceed tayo. Tingnan natin. Where is H+? Ay, hindi pala natin na-discuss yung coenzyme last week. Balikan natin mamaya, no? Kasi nakat na tayo last week. Balikan natin later. Aha, nasan tayo? Note ko lang balikan natin yung last week natin na naputol tayo. Hindi nyo pinaalala. Last week slide. Balikan natin later, no? Okay, so proceed muna tayo dito sa ating citric acid cycle. Pero feeling ko mas kailangan nating balikan muna kasi may mga mababanggit dito dun sa last week natin. Balikan muna natin ha yung ating topic last week na nilaktaw. Hindi natin na-discuss kasi may laboratory tayo last week. Maiksi lang naman to. Balikan lang natin saglit. Sa ibang section kasi ay natapos namin eh. Okay. Ano lang to naman? Ilang slide lang to? No? 4 slide lang yung di natin na-discuss last week. Due to our laboratory. So there are different electron transporter in our body. There are different compounds. So last week, di ba, diniscuss natin that our coenzyme A contains anong vitamin? What vitamin is present in coenzyme A? Alam ko dito tayo nag-end last week eh. What vitamin is present in coenzyme A? Kalimutan na. Coenzyme A contains vitamin B5. Okay? Vitamin B5 or pantothenic acid. Okay, so it contains different portion. At the center, it contains the vitamin B5. At its left, it has beta-mercaptoethylamine and our sulfhydryl. On the right, it contains 2-phosphate and a derivative of ADP, which contains a pentose sugar that contains a phosphate group and adenine. Okay? So aside from the coenzyme A, two important chemicals in our body are called electron transporters. The first one is the nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Di ba meron na kayong nakita kanina? Di ba? So we call that as NAD+. Ay, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Ano naman siya? Derivative of ADP. Okay? Or vitamin nicotinamide. Okay? And nicotinamide is vitamin B3. Then FAD. FAD naman is flavine adenine dinucleotide or FAD. Ano siya? Derivative of vitamin riboflavin. Okay? Ito yan. Riboflavin. And riboflavin is vitamin B2. Okay? Riboflavin is vitamin B2. So therefore, for NAD, it contains vitamin B3. Okay? For FAD, it contains vitamin B2. Our coenzyme A contains vitamin B5. Okay? So tandaan na lang natin yon. Proceed tayo with our topic talaga for today. Grabe ang init ngayon. Wait lang. Okay? So, balik tayo. Saan na siya? Ay, kamote, nawala. Wait lang na na-delete ko ang slide. Ayan. Okay. So, NADH and FADH2 are produced in what step? In step 3, 4, and 8. Nasaan yan? Bilugan natin. This is step 3, step 4, and step 8. Di ba last week, sabi ko merong exit. You have a exit for the citric acid cycle. First is the carbon dioxide exit. So, hindi lang yung simple. Hindi lang yung simple na carbon dioxide exit. Kasi you have 2 carbon dioxide exit. Ito. Yeah, naglalag ako. Oo, nag-unstable ako kanina. Okay, so these 2, number 3 and then number 4 steps, dyan nare-release yung carbon dioxide. Yan, dyan yung exit natin, if you can still remember. Then, saan naman yung H+? Di ba? May H+, plus electron. So, dito yan sa step 3, ayun. Meron kang H+ na na-produce dyan. Step 4. Ayan, sabay-sabay kaming nawala na. Taga-sambay mga yan. Magkakalapit kami ng bahay. Okay, so H+, ito. Meron din in step 4. And in step 8, meron ding H+ na na-produce. So kaya dun sa citric acid cycle natin last week, merong mga H+. Because of these reactions, no? Because of the following reactions. So yung NAD naging NADH plus H plus. So ayun, 'di ba? Meron tayo last week na na-discuss na H plus and electron. So merong H plus, ito 'yon. Diyan, ayan yung mga talagang nilabasan nila, no? Na portion. Step 3, 4, and 8. Okay? Saan siya? NADH kasi. Na-produce yung NADH plus H plus. FADH2 meron din dyan. Sa step 6, ayun, eto siya. Okay? So saan yung carbon dioxide again? Step 3 and step 4. Pero, meron ding na-produce na H plus on those steps, no? 3 and 4. Okay? So, I understand naman, no, na you are really not a chemist professional, no? Chemistry professional. So, ito yung mas pinasimple na version of that particular cycle. This is the reactions involved in the citric acid cycle. And ito yung mas pinasimple. Kumbaga, hindi na natin sinulat the structure of each of the compounds. So, hindi ko naman kayo i-require na kabisaduhin, no, yung mga itsura nitong mga compounds na yan. Okay? Kahit names na lang nila, yung tandaan ninyo. Okay? Wait lang, walang panyo at napakainit. Okay. So kung titingnan ninyo ngayon, yan, napakadaming information, di ba? There's a lot of information in this diagram. Mahirap matandaan yan basta-basta. No? Mahirap matandaan yan basta-basta. So, kaya kanina pinakita ko sa inyo na it's easier to memorize things or to remember things if you're going to divide or you're going to do a compartment, no? Parang ganyan. So, pwede gawin nyo dyan. O, takpan nyo muna itong B. Diba? Takpan nyo muna yung B. Tandaan nyo lang itong dinadaanan. No? Itong dinadaanan ng ating yung dinadaanan ng ating lipid. So, ito yung dadaanan niya. Our lipids will be broke down or will be broken down into two, di ba? Fatty acid and glycerol. So, that fatty acid, hindi yan talaga directly. So, the way of fatty acid is not directly na magiging acetyl-CoA siya. Magiging aceto-acetyl-CoA muna siya. Then, magiging acetyl-CoA na. Okay? And yung lipids natin, it contains two, di ba? Fatty acid and glycerol after the reaction. The glycerol, again, will not be converted right away to acetyl-CoA. It will take a different path from the fatty acid. So from the hydrolysis of triglyceride, glycerol will be converted first into triose phosphate. Okay? Then the triose phosphate will be converted to pyruvic acid. Pyruvic acid. After that, pwede siyang tumuloy, two-way. No? Pwedeng two-way na pagdaanan niya. Pwedeng maging lactic acid siya. Or pwede siyang maging acetyl-CoA. So wag muna ninyong alalahanin itong huling portion, no? Itong portion na nasa baba. Nasa baba na yan. That is a citric acid cycle. Ito nasa pinakailalim. So by part ninyo. Okay? So that is how lipids is converted. Ito namang carbohydrates. So sa carbohydrates, ayan, hindi lang din yan basta-basta, di ba? Hindi lang basta-basta glucose, naging acetyl-CoA kaagad. May pagdadaanan din siya. So next week, mas i-discuss natin yan. So glucose, magiging glucose 6-phosphate. Yun yung first conversion niya. So yun yung pagdadaanan niya. After that, that glucose 6-phosphate will be further converted into triose phosphate. Then triose phosphate will be pyruvic acid. That will be acetyl-CoA. Pero yung ating pyruvic acid, pwede rin siya maging lactic acid. Pero yun nga, i-discuss natin yan next week. Okay? Then our protein, papansin niyo directly na siya dito into pyruvic acid. Ibahin natin ang kulay. Okay, so our amino acid will directly become a pyruvic acid, then acetyl-CoA. Pero may another pathway yung ating amino acid. Ano siya? Minsan nagda-direct na siya dito. No, it can go directly sa ating citric acid cycle. So meron tayong tatlo, no? Meron tayong tatlong path. Different ang path ng lipids, different ang path ng carbohydrates, different ang path ng proteins. Pero kasi nga common catabolic pathway na itong ating citric acid cycle, so pare-parehas na sila once makarating dito sa citric acid cycle or dun sa roundabout natin. Pero different streets, no, different roads, different path ang pinagdaanan of this different biomolecule to come up with acetyl-CoA. Okay? Okay pa ba? Medyo complicated, no? Di ba? Complicated itong ating acetyl-CoA. Ay, nawala yung aking mouse. Ayun. Anong ano na ba? Tsaka lang pahinga tayo ng sige, pahinga muna. Pahinga muna tayo. Absorb nyo muna. Yung mga, kung may ma-absorb man, no? Absorb nyo muna. Pahinga muna tayo, 10 minutes. No? Break muna tayo ng 10 minutes. Masyado nang maraming information eh. Natunaw na ang brain cells. Grabe naman. Yeah. Pero yeah, kahit ako nung nag-aaral ako, natunaw ang brain cells ko dito. Sa dami. Parang nilalabanan niya pumasok ang information. Yeah, yeah, I understand naman kayo dyan. No? Mahirap ang metabolism, sabi ko nga sa inyo. So I hope ay maalala niyo siya. Mag-attendance ako later, no? Don't worry. Pag umalis kasi ako dito sa senior ko ay hindi yun siya nakikita. So by part ninyo, no? Remember it by part. Wag right away ay i-remember nyo siya ng isang bultuhan or bulk. No? Don't remember the citric acid cycle, the acetyl-CoA formation in bulk. Tandaan nyo siya by portion para mas madali. If gusto nyo, gawan yung table, no? Kagaya ng ginawa natin last time para mas madali nyo siyang ma-recall. Ayan, sige. Merienda muna kayo, no? Kasi masyado na tayong maraming napag-aralan. 15 slides lang yun, no? Pero mas mahirap pa yung next week. Okay, ayan, natapos na ang ating break time. O, gising na sa mga natulog. Start na tayo ulit. Nakakalahati naman na tayo. Ay, grabe. Grabe ang metabolism talaga. Very, traumatic. Traumatic talaga. Yeah, ako din ay na-trauma naman dito noon nung ako'y nag-aaral pa. So, during our citric acid cycle, as you can see here, wait lang. Nagulo kong aking internet. I-off ko muna yung camera ko, no? Kasi nag-fluctuate yung internet dito. So for our citric acid cycle, as I mentioned earlier, meron tayong 8, di ba? 8 steps. Okay, so ito yung pinakahuli, yung oxaloacetate natin. This is the end product of our citric acid cycle, the oxaloacetate. So this is step 8, no? From malate to oxaloacetate. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay? So, ayan. Pero ang final natin is excuse me, oxaloacetate. Okay? Tandaan nyo na, end product of our Krebs cycle or TACA cycle is oxaloacetate. So, ano ba yung oxaloacetate? Ito yan. Itong nasa right. This is oxaloacetate or kapag nireact mo yan with hydrogen, dinagdagan mo ng hydrogen, this oxygen, it will form an oxaloacetic acid. Okay, so during the citric acid cycle, there are 2 carbon dioxide molecule that is formed or liberated or produced. In what steps? Steps 3 and step number 4. Okay, so tandaan natin citric acid cycle starts with acetyl-CoA. Di ba yun yung ating pinakaunang reactant, no, for our citric acid cycle. And it will end with oxaloacetate. Kaya cycle yung tawag natin. Bakit? Kasi this oxaloacetate will again react with acetyl-CoA to produce citrate. Okay? So tingnan natin yung cycle. Ayun, oh. Oxaloacetate will again react, diba, with acetyl-CoA to produce citrate. So dire-diretso lang. So this citric acid cycle or tricarboxylic acid cycle is a continuous process as long as there is a acetyl-CoA available. Bakit? Kasi nga, during the process, magpo-produce ka ng oxaloacetate. And that oxaloacetate again will react with acetyl-CoA to produce citrate. And the cycle continues. Okay, so tuloy-tuloy siya as long as meron tayong acetyl-CoA. So the general net equation for the citric acid cycle, ito siya. Siyempre, acetyl-CoA kasi yun yung pinaka-raw material natin, di ba? Tapos, meron tayong tatlong NAD+ na kailangan. Isang steps na nga ulit, no? What steps does NAD+ is needed? Anong step na yun kanina? Oh, kalimutan na. O, andyan pa ba kayo? Anong steps? What steps? Ayun, natandaan pa ni Paula. Si Nishin may isa lang na kulang. Pero tama naman pareha. No? Okay, so yan. Tandaan din ni Jim. Ni Paula, no? Natandaan nila. So 3 NAD+, saan yan ginamit? Doon sa step 3, step 4, and step 8. O yung FAD, saan siya kanina? Where is FAD? Step number Yes, step number 6, no, si FAD natin. Balikan nga natin. Yun, oh, ito yung FAD natin. Number 6. Then NAD plus number 3, number 4, and number 8. Tapos, meron ka ditong GDP na binanggit. Di ba? Meron binanggit na GDP na produce to GTP. So, ano ba yan? Mamaya, banggitin ko sa inyo kung ano yan. Dahil naglalag ang aking internet. Saglit lang, no? Ayan, so tingin ko okay na ulit. So, this is GDP. GDP is, ano siya? Di ba meron tayong adenosine na binabanggit? Yung G naman is guanosine. No? Guanosine. Kasi meron niyang guanine. Okay, guanosine diphosphate. And during our citric acid cycle, di ba, magpo-produce ka ng carbon dioxide. So, itong box na yan, arrow yan, no? Hindi lang nadidetect nung ano yung arrow kasi, ng PowerPoint. So, magpo-produce ka ng carbon dioxide on step 3 and 4. Di ba? Magpo-produce ka din ng hydrogen plus in 3, 4, 8. Okay? Then sa 6 is yung FADH2. Okay? So, nakita na natin, di ba, kung bakit merong carbon dioxide exit dun sa roundabout of citric acid cycle and bakit meron din siyang H+. Okay? Kasi because of the 8 steps natin. Merong mga underlying steps pala doon sa citric acid cycle natin. Okay, so recap natin, no? Summary natin. Ano yung mga na-observe natin in citric acid cycle? So first is, it needs acetyl-CoA. Bakit? Because acetyl-CoA is the fuel of citric acid cycle. Ano pa? It also needs NAD plus and FAD. Okay? Saan yan galing? From electron transport chain. Mamaya i-discuss natin. Na? Kusang, yan, ito. Okay? Discuss natin yan later on electron transport chain. Na? So needed, ha? Needed yung NAD plus and FAD. Ano pa? Sa citric acid cycle, after that, di ba, maglalabas ka ng hydrogen plus. Correct? Maglalabas ka ng hydrogen plus. Tapos last week, dinrawing natin yan na ganito. H plus electron. Di ba? Merong arrow. Sabi ko, nung nakaraan, there is a bypass of oxygen converted into water. Di ba? May ganyan na step tayo last week. Meron akong dinemonstrate sa inyo. Bakit? Because oxygen is what? It is the final acceptor of electrons. So, i-accept niya yan, yung electrons na yan. Plus yung hydrogen plus. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, during our catabolic pathway, needed then si oxygen. Okay? Ano pa? So, ano pa? Carbon dioxide, meron tayong nag-leave nga noon sa step number 3 and 4, no? Meron tayong carbon dioxide na nag-leave. Okay? Ano pa? Ayan. So, yung 348, tandaan nyo to ha. NADH is it occurs at 348 and FADH2 is in step 2. There is also a high energy phosphate. Ano yung high energy phosphate natin? Guanosine triphosphate. Paano nga natin nasasabi ulit kung siya ay high energy phosphate? Sige nga, paano natin nasasabi yun ulit? Last week, diniscuss natin yan eh. Paano natin nasasabi na high energy phosphate ang isang phosphate group? Dapat ang kanyang Gibbs free energy ay ano yung Gibbs free energy niya dapat kapag high energy phosphate? Negative? Malimutan na. Negative? Negative? Sabihin ko na, reveal ko na ba? Para masabi natin na high energy phosphate, that is negative 7.3 kilocalorie per mole. Ibig sabihin, itong si GTP natin, di ba, is around this range or higher. Kaya siya ay high energy phosphate. Paano naman nare-regulate yung citric acid cycle natin? So pag sinabi nating regulate, it means control, di ba? So kino-control din yan. Okay? So unstable na naman ang internet. Wait lang Problem ko rin to kahapon at this time of the day, nagkakaroon ng problem with the internet connection. I do not know kung bakit din. Sa ganitong oras. Okay, proceed tayo. So how does citric acid cycle or TCA cycle being controlled or regulated? At the first step, there is an enzyme we call citrate synthetase. Okay, citrate synthetase. Ano ang sa kanya? Ano ang description sa kanya? It is inhibited by ATP and NADH and activated naman siya ng ADP. Okay? Inhibited by ATP and NADH, activated by ADP. And second is isocitrate dehydrogenase. Ano naman ang nag-inhibit sa kanya? NADH lang. And activated siya ng ADP din. Sa step 4, meron din tayo diyang nagre-regulate the alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase complex. Okay? Inhibited siya nitong mga to, succinyl-CoA, NADH, and ATP. Okay? So yan, yung isang nagre-regulate. Actually, tatlo yan. Tatlo yan na nagre-regulate for our citric acid cycle. Another is, itong bullet number 2. So halimbawa, gutom ka. Pag gutom ka, di ba, walang laman yung tiyan mo. Correct? If you are hungry, no, your stomach contains less food. No? Pwede natin sabihin ganon. Less food. So, ang tendency, kapag tayo ay gutom, mas marami tayong makakain, di ba? We can eat more, no, when we are hungry. Correct, di ba? Mas marami tayong makakain. Pero, halimbawa, ay kumain ka sa samjian and you ate a lot. Sabihin natin, naka 2 hours ka na kumakain ng samji. No? For 2 hours, you're eating samji. So, your stomach is already full of food, di ba? Ano mangyayari? Slow down, di ba? You will slow down your eating. Di ba? Medyo babagalan mo eating mo. So, ganun din in regulation of citric acid cycle. When the cell contains more, no, it contains more or high level of ATP, it will slow down. Kapag naman mababa or it contains low amount of ATP, ano mangyayari? Bibilis, no? The reaction will be faster. Okay, mas bibilis naman. Parang ganun lang yan. Parang law of supply and demand lang. Okay? So, it regulates the citric acid cycle or TCA cycle. So, eto siya. Saglit lang, naglalag na naman. Okay, so sa step 1 nga natin, tandaan nyo ano yung enzyme natin dyan? Citrate synthetase. Okay, citrate synthetase. Ano siya? Inhibited by ATP and NADH, activated siya ng ADP. Dito naman, sa step 3 natin, yung isocitrate dehydrogenase. Inhibited siya ng NADH. Okay, NADH lang, no? Hindi na ATP. Activated siya ng ADP. Sa step 4 natin, yung alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase complex, inhibited siya na tong mga to. Okay? So pag inhibited, di ba, babagal. Okay? So kinokontrol siya ng mga enzyme na yon. Para, halimbawa ay, wait lang, masyado na madaming ATP. No? There's too much ATP. Slow down. So it is being controlled by these enzymes. So yan na ang katapusan ng citric acid cycle. Ang haba ng discussion ng citric acid cycle. So for electron transport, di ganun siya kahaba no, compared to citric acid cycle. Okay? So during the citric acid cycle, it produces, di ba, yung reduced coenzymes NADH and FADH2. So end product siya ng citric acid cycle. Saglit lang, naglalag na naman ako. Okay, proceed tayo. So this NADH and FADH2 naman is needed during the electron transport chain. Paano? Okay, paano kaya yan? Mamaya makikita ninyo. Meron ding road na pagdadaanan sa electron transport chain. Meron ding path na pagdadaanan yan. Okay? Pero dun sa citric acid cycle natin, di ba, nag-produce tayo nito ng hydrogen plus and electrons. And it combines with oxygen to produce water. Diba yung diagram natin ganyan? Oxygen to water, tapos hydrogen plus electron, po-produce ka ng oxygen to water, diba? So that reaction, we call that as the electron transport chain. Bakit? Meron kang electron kasi na na-transport. And again, di ba? The final electron acceptor of our process is oxygen. Binanggit na rin natin yan kanina. Okay? So oxygen, yung final electron acceptor natin. Okay? So saan nangyayari ang electron transport chain? Saan na nga? Kung yung ating citric acid cycle nangyayari sa matrix, di ba? Saan nangyayari yung electron transport chain saka oxidative phosphorylation? Last week, diniscuss natin yan. Saang part ng mitochondria nag-a-occur ito? Dito kasi sabi lang ay inner membrane of the mitochondria. So ano yung inner membrane na yon? That inner membrane starts with the letter C. We call that as ayun, cristae, no? Cristae. Okay. Ayan. So, cristae, ha? Cristae. Doon nag-a-occur tong electron transport chain natin. So, this is the roadmap of electron transport chain. Okay? This is the roadmap of our electron transport chain, or we simply call that as ETC. Okay? Electron transport chain, ETC. Para mas madali nating matandaan. So that inner membrane, that is the cristae. So ito yung inner membrane natin. This is the cristae. Okay? So yung matrix, ayan, yung andito sa labas na portion ng ating cristae. Okay? So ayan. So di ba doon kanina sa ating reaction in citric acid cycle, meron nag-produce tayo ng NADH plus H plus. Saka FADH2. On what steps? Steps number 3, 4, 8, saka 6 respectively. 'Di ba? Dun sa mga steps na 'yon, nag-produce ka ng NADH plus H plus. Again, anong step 'yon? 3, 4, 8. Sa FADH2, na-produce yan in step 6. Okay? So ano yung roadmap niya? So yung NADH plus H plus na nanggaling in the citric acid cycle, it will enter, no, sa cristae, it will interact with an enzyme we call as FNN. What is FMN? That is flavine mononucleotide. Okay? Flavine mononucleotide. So yun yung pathway naman ng NADH natin plus H+. After that, it will enter a protein that contains iron and sulfur. Okay? It will enter this part ng ating yung NADH plus H+ natin, dadaan diyan. No? Dadaan siya diyan to produce Fe or iron and sulfur. After that, papasok naman siya sa coenzyme Q. Saglit lang, naglalag na naman ako. I do not know, but pag ganitong time, naglalag ako. Okay, let's proceed. So, after sa FES, dadaan siya with coenzyme Q or CoQ. Okay? Yung ating FADH2, hindi na yan dumadaan, no? Hindi na siya dumadaan in FMN, and FES. Kasi it will directly enter doon sa COQ na portion, kung saan may COQ. Okay? So that is the, ilan ba yan? 4 steps na pagdadaanan ng NADH and H+ natin. After that, ay mag-react siya with, ayan nga, COQ natin. So dito, sa FADH2 and NADH, parehas silang papasok, no, doon sa COQ natin. So ano mangyayari dyan pagpasok nila sa COQ? Ang mangyayari dyan, marirelease yung hydrogens and electrons. Okay? So pag na-release yung hydrogen and electrons, matatanggal na kay NADH yung H niya. So magiging NAD+ na siya. Diba? So that NAD+ ulit, gagamitin siya. Okay? Yung NAD+ and FAD na merong kasamang hydrogen kanina, di ba? NADH sila, saka FADH2. Marirelease yung hydrogen nila. So kapag na-release yung hydrogen nila, magiging NAD+ na ulit sila, di ba? NAD+, saka FAD. And these two, NAD+ and FAD, will be recycled, will be regenerated for use in citric acid cycle. Di ba meron tayong ginamit sa citric acid cycle na NAD+, saka FAD. Dito nang galing yon. No, byproduct siya ng electron transport chain. So after that, after ma-release yung ating H+ ions, okay, ang mangyayari, na-release na. So dadaan siya dito sa ating mga cytochromes. May cytochrome B, cytochrome C1, C, A, and A3. Okay? This enzymes contains iron. Okay? May iron din siya. So paglabas niya, lalabas na yung hydrogen ions natin and yung electrons. So that hydrogen and electrons will react with oxygen to form yung water. So yan yung nangyayari doon sa H, 'di ba? H+ plus electron, tapos yung oxygen magiging water. So ganyan yung nangyayari. So this is the electron transport chain or ETC. Pero kung i-detail natin yan, i-zoom in natin, ito yung pinagdaanan niya. Okay, na process for the electron transport chain. Okay, ayan. Ito yung mas komplikado tignan. So after the citric acid cycle, di ba, produce ka ng NADH. Ayun. That NADH, papasok yan sa cristae. Mabe-breakdown siya. Di ba? Breakdown into NAD+. Na pwede ulit magamit sa citric acid cycle. Okay? So ganyan yung electron transport chain natin. So the last part is oxidative phosphorylation. So oxidative phosphorylation, dito na nagaganap yung creations of ATP. No? Paano na po-produce yung ATP natin? So dito na siya magaganap talaga sa oxidative phosphorylation. So bakit kaya oxidative phosphorylation ang tawag natin? Because these steps is connected with oxidation and phosphorylation. There is a transfer. No? Pag sinabi mo kasing phosphorylation, there's a transfer of phosphate groups. Sana nare-recall nyo pa the difference of catabolism and anabolism. No? Sana nare-recall nyo pa siya. Di ba kapag catabolism, you release a energy. Correct? Because there is a breakdown. Di ba? There is a breakdown of compounds. So you will release energy. So wait lang, naglalag na naman ako. So during electron transport chain, there is an energy release. Kasi meron kang breaking down eh. Diba? Yung NAD mo, NADH mo naging NAD na lang, di ba? Yung FADH2 mo naging FAD na lang. Okay, so meron kang release of energy. So how much energy? Around 52.6 energy. Yung nare-release in electron transport chain. And some of the energy in electron transport chain is stored. Okay? Ini-store siya. So, paano siya ini-store? Kung sa ating electron transport chain, it involves catabolism. Sa ating oxidative phosphorylation, anabolism. Di ba pag anabolism, it requires energy or it absorbs energy. Di ba? Require or absorbs energy. So, dyan na na-form yung ATP natin. Bakit? Kasi during anabolism, it is a synthesis, di ba? It combines different molecules. So in our oxidative phosphorylation, nagko-combine yung adenosine diphosphate, so dalawang phosphate, with a inorganic phosphate. So pag nag-combine silang dalawa, mag-produce ka ng triphosphate. Again, kapag nag-combine, nag-synthesis, that is anabolism. And during anabolism, energy is required or energy is absorbed. So, na-store mo na yung energy sa ATP by this process. Okay? Kasi may sobra kang energy doon sa electron transport chain or ETC, mako-conserve siya in ATP or mai-store siya sa ATP. Paano siya na-store? Diba? Paano siya na-store? Kasi nga, nag-combine yung ATP, ADP, and pi or inorganic phosphate. And that combination is linked with NADH and FADH2. How? Through oxidation. Kaya oxidative phosphorylation yung tawag natin. Okay? Again, bakit? Kasi that process is linked to what? Oxidation of NADH and FADH2. Ano pa? So that is na yung that is the oxidative portion. Phosphorylation because ADP is combined with pi to create ATP. Okay? So during electron transport, there are different energy that is used or released. Wait lang. Wait lang, no? Naglalag ang aking net. Okay, proceed tayo. So there are energy released during electron transport chain. So dito, 'di ba? Dumaan, 'di ba, yung ating electron transport chain, merong path na dinaanan. NADH papasok siya dito sa flavine nucleotide or mononucleotide. Magki-create siya ng negative 9.2. High energy 'yan, 'di ba? Dito naman, no, from cytochrome B to iron sulfur protein, produce ka ng negative 8.3. Dito naman sa cytochrome AA3, produce ka ng negative 24.4. So yung total energy niyan is 52.6. Doon nakuha ha, yung 52.6. So yung ibang energy dyan, it will be conserved, it will be stored in the form of ATP. Okay? So, during oxidative phosphorylation, ayan, tandaan natin yan, no? That, saan tayo? Ayun, 2.5. So, kapag nag-convert NADH to NAD+, magpo-produce ka dyan ng 2.5 molecules of ATP. From what? From ADP. Okay? So, 2.5 molecules ha. Conversions of NADH to NAD+. Yung FADH2 naman natin, kapag nag-convert ka to FAD, magge-generate ka ng 1.5 molecules of ATP. Okay. So ngayon, di ba sa ating citric acid cycle, nagpo-produce tayo, lag na naman. Saglit lang, no? Okay. Sa citric acid cycle natin, nagpo-produce tayo ng 3 molecules of NADH, di ba? Sa ating citric acid cycle, 3. So gaano karaming ATP yung mapoproduce natin? 3, diba? 3 NADH. From the 3 NADH, magpoproduce siya ng ilan? 2.5 ATP. So 3 times 2.5, that is, ilan yan? That is 7.5. Okay, therefore, magpoproduce ka ng 7.5 to be exact. Okay? Ng ATP. So dito sa FADH2, magpo-produce ka ng 1.5. Yung GTP natin na na-produce kanina sa citric acid cycle, yan ay 1 ATP. So pag tinotal mo yan, that is that is 10. Okay? 10 ATP molecules doon sa citric acid cycle natin. No, meron kang 10 ATP molecules na na-form. So ito, isa pang diagram. Dito ang ginamit nilang factor is 3. Okay? Meron kasi mga literature na 3 yung ginagamit na factor. Okay? So instead na 2.5, nira-round off nila yung 2.5 into 3. 3 ATP. Okay? So for glycolysis, pag sinabi natin glycolysis, that is the breakdown of carbohydrates into simpler molecules. So by that process alone, meron ka nang mapoproduce na 8. Okay? 8 ATP. Again, times 3 yung ginamit nila ditong factor. Na? Then for pyruvic acid to acetyl-CoA, produce ka ng 6 ATP. Sa citric acid cycle, eto, 24 ATP yung total na mapoproduce mo. Okay? Total of 24 ATP. So kung ito-total mo yan, from stage 1 up to citric acid cycle, magpoproduce ka ng 38 ATP. Okay? Okay pa ba? Malapit na matapos, no? So next natin, tapos na tayo sa oxidative phosphorylation. Ano ba tong chemiosmotic hypothesis? Meron bang marunong sa inyong gumawa ng itlog na maalat? Merong marunong gumawa sa inyo ng itlog na maalat or itlog na pula? Yan, si Kate marunong daw. Sige nga, paano gumawa, Kate, ng itlog na maalat? Andiyan pa ba si Kate? Magtaas siya ng kamay eh. O, nawala. Okay. Ayan, chinat na lang yata. Sir, di po ako makatalk. Ayaw nga pala, hindi nga pala siya nakakatalk. Okay, sige, alam ni Kate. Pero ganito yung process niyan, di ba? Pag gagawa ka ng itlog na maalat, ay ilalagay mo siya sa putik. Yan yung mas common na process, di ba? Ayun. So, lalagyan mo siya ng putik. Yung putik, lalagyan mo ng asin. So, yung putik, merong asin. Di ba? Wait, saglit lang, no? So merong asin, yung putek na paglalagay natin. For example, this is the egg. Okay, this is the egg. Tapos babalutan mo yan, no? You will cover that with mud, no? Containing sodium chloride or asin. So if you still remember in your senior high school, di ba may diniscuss doon ay hypertonic, hypotonic, isotonic solutions. Di ba? May mga ganong diniscuss in your senior high school days na baka nakalimutan na ninyo. So, ang nangyayari dito sa itlog na maalat, nagkakaroon ng transfer, no, of compounds. Wait lang, naglalag na naman ako. Okay. So, dito, no, meron kasi nangyayaring process dyan. We call that as osmosis. Okay, osmosis. So, osmosis kasi, it is a process wherein the ions inside a cell or inside a membrane are paano ba? Nag-equilibrate sila, no? It is the solutions tries to equilibrate both the ions inside and outside the membrane. So nangyayari kapag masyadong mataas yung Na+ outside sa egg natin, ang tendency the water inside the egg will pass through dun sa eggshell or sa membrane natin. So lalabas siya yung water to compensate or to equilibrate, okay? To equilibrate the sodium content, no, for the inside and the outside the membrane. So there is a flow of water, no, for the salted egg. Okay? Kaya ano ipansin natin? 'Di ba? Ano ipansin natin sa ano pinagkaiba ng salted egg with the hard-boiled egg? Yung hard-boiled egg lang. Anong pinagkaiba nila? Sa yolk nila halimbawa, maliban sa oily, maliban sa mamantika, ano yung na-observe natin? Lasa, okay, sige. Tama naman, different yung lasa nila. O ano pa? Color, texture, ayan, medyo malapit na. Mas dry, ayan, mas malapit na talaga. Oo, malapit na. Mas dry yung, ayan, malapit na. O, sige, sabihin ko na nga para mabilis tayo. So yung yolk, di ba, ng salted egg, normally mas matigas yan. Meron siyang matigas na portion, di ba? May mas matigas siya na portion. Bakit? Kasi nag-shrink, no? Nag-shrink yung ating ayan solid, mas solid 'yun, 'di ba? Mas solid yung hard-boiled egg natin. Yung hard-boiled egg, yung salted egg natin kasi nag-shrink siya because of that flow, no? Of that flow of ions or water natin. Okay? So, dito sa chemiosmotic hypothesis, parang ganyan lang din yung sinasabi. No? Parang ganyan din yung sinasabi diyan. Ano yung sinasabi in chemiosmotic hypothesis? Dito kasi pinapakita kung paano kung paano nagfo-flow yung ating hydrogen ions. Okay? So, paano siya nagfo-flow? 'Di ba nagfo-flow kanina? Doon sa labas, doon sa matrix nagfo-flow doon sa crystal natin yung mga hydrogen ions. So dito sa chemiosmotic hypothesis, sinasabi dito na it flows, it's being pumped from the matrix to the membrane or doon sa crystal natin because of what? 'Di ba? Because of the difference in hydrogen concentration. So parang sa itlog lang din. Kasi different ang concentration ng sodium sa loob ng itlog doon sa putek na nasa labas. 'Di ba? Different eh. Different concentration doon sa itlog. So ganun din with hydrogen. Different ang concentration doon sa nasa matrix natin and inside the membrane or doon sa crystal natin. Therefore, that difference in concentration, anong gagawin nila? Anong gagawin? magfo-flow. Parang dun din sa egg natin, nagfo-flow yung water. So dito naman sa ating membrane, sa ating cristae and matrix, no, nagfo-flow siya through that process. Okay? So that flow, no, that flow of electrons in the cristae and mitochondria produces an electric potential or electricity. Okay? So nagpo-produce siya ng electricity. So anong nangyayari? Yung protons natin or H+, okay, yun yung protons kasi natin, no? Nagpo-flow siya through the membrane, of course, with the help of an enzyme. Ito yun, F180 base, no? Okay? Wait lang, naglalag ulit ako. So this flow of protons, wait. This flow of protons ay siya ang nag-create, no, nung phosphorylation reaction natin to produce yung ATP natin. Kasi that flow of hydrogen nga produces electricity. That electricity is the energy that is needed to produce our ATP. So that is chemiosmotic hypothesis. Ayan. So nagkakaroon ka ng flow. Ayun, flow of hydrogen. Kasi there is a different concentration in hydrogen plus. Inside the membrane or inside the cristae and outside or the matrix. Okay? So magpa-pass through yan. Again, ito, magpa-pass through siya dito using the enzyme F180 base to produce yung H+ that is needed for the synthesis of ATP. So that is chemiosmotic, no? Kaya binanggit ko lang din yung sa itlog, no? Para mas ma-imagine ninyo kung ano nangyayari. That ends our topic on metabolism. Natapos rin.